Okay, are we ready?
Give me 1 second. I'm getting things
Oh,
lined up on
okay.
YouTube. And we are live on YouTube.
You ready to go, or you want to?
We are ready now. Nope, ready now.
Okay. Good evening. I would like to call to order the Bellbrook Planning Board meeting of December 17th, 2020. A roll call, please.
Mr. Tuttle,
Here.
Mr. Stengel,
Here.
Mr. Harding,
Here.
Mr. Bennett,
Here,
Mr. Thompson.
Here. And first up on the ticket is the approval of meeting minutes from November 19th. Everybody have a chance to read them?
yes, they look
Are
good.
there any problems?
Didn't see a thing.
I see no problems. I move we accept the minutes from the November meeting.
Second,
Motion was made by Mr. Stengel to accept the minutes of the meeting of November 19th, 2020. This was seconded by Mr. Bennett. All in favor?
aye.
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 Thank you.
Looks like we have Article 14 as old business next. I believe, Jessica, that's you to explain that one.
Yeah, so I believe the only thing that was updated was a little bit of information that Brady had submitted. I believe that was it, wasn't it, Pam?
Yes, that was the only change at this point.
So I'm not sure if any of you have any more comments regarding Article 14, but if you do, we're more than willing to take those.
You want to discuss them now or send you an email with some write-ups, some documentation write-ups or anything like that?
Both, I guess.
Yeah, can we talk about them and can you send them to?
Yeah, so I read it closer this time. Looking at section 14072, section A and building details.
14072. Find out that's page 5.
Yes. About middle of the paragraph, it begins, missing materials should be replicated and replaced. And then, the following two lines are, if possible, it's better to leave one missing than to remove all of them. Not sure why that if possible statement is in there, if we're talking about should be replicated or replaced. So I was thinking of just striking everything from if possible to every effort should be. Does that make sense?
I'm still finding it. Which paragraph are you in? The first one?
Correct. Paragraph
Okay.
A, building details.
Okay.
Effectively, just cut a lot of the word verbiage out and say missing material should be replicated and replaced to match original as closely as practical.
To take out all the stuff out if it's just missing one. Yeah.
Right.
Does everybody else agree that that makes sense?
Sure.
Yeah, it does make sense.
And then down in paragraph F, windows, doors, and door lintels. This may be just splitting hairs, but towards the end of the paragraph, it says metal or plastic window frames are generally unacceptable unless they are painted. Should we put unless they are painted to match original, or is that splitting hairs?
We don't tell people the color they can paint their house or their, so even if you have a historic structure, you can paint it whatever color you want to. So if the door is historic, you can still paint it red if you wanted to. So I don't know that specifying painting it the original color, maybe specifying the original material.
Okay,
would
well
be-
then, I'm
No,
now
that-
wondering, do we just remove that sentence? If they want to replace it with something that's not the same as the original, wouldn't we rather have them have to get a variance for that? Or do we want to allow metal or plastic windows?
Yeah, I think that's
We're
where I was
saying
trying,
they're
that's where I was
generally-
going.
Yeah, they're generally, it says, they're saying they're generally unacceptable.
Yeah,
Why don't we
So-
remove that so that if someone wants to put in metal or plastic, they'd have to get a variance anyway, and it could be discussed at that point with the board?
Yeah.
There are some the appropriate fiberglass windows that are out there that are very expensive, that are very, very nice, and you cannot tell the difference from good ones.
So would you consider fiberglass plastic? Or,
mean-
There's like fiberglass front doors that I can't tell from wood.
right,
And you guys, here's my concern on all this. I think if we get too many rules and regulations, people aren't going to want to do business with downtown at all.
I agree. I think that we should, try to preserve as much as possible, but at the same time, be willing to work with our businesses and residents in downtown.
well, and I still think we could remove that sentence though about, because it says in the previous one, when replacement is necessary, the new door or window should match the original in style and size as closely as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at.
Yeah, I think we could remove that sentence that talks about metal or plastic.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Do you think?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Let me check. I think that's it. Oh, well, section 1413. I don't know what page that is.
I'm looking,
Page 12. Page 12.
yes.
So it says, second paragraph, in its deliberations, yada, yada, yada. The Downtown Review Board shall consider alternatives to demolition. Do we want to have the applicant included in that consideration? Or is that a foregone conclusion that the applicant already went through those steps and therefore they are not part of the process anymore once it reaches the review board?
It depends. So sometimes someone comes in and may want to demolish a building, and the building may have little or no historic value. So it's really not of any circumstance. But in circumstances where the building has historic value, I think that's where that verbiage is trying to protect, I think. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So they apply for the demolition permit, and then it has to come to the village review board to get approval.
Right, and this section is looking to, where the review board will look or scour for alternatives to demolition.
Yeah,
But I think the applicant's always included in those.
yeah. So
meetings.
Okay,
because sometimes even an applicant will want to just demolish a house. So if that is the case, and that, the house is of historic value, or is, the cost of demolition exceeds more than, or is, how do I frame that? If the value of the house is worth more than, like say 50% or more than what it would cost to build a new house, then I think that that's something that they determine when they're working with it. So
No,
Yeah.
that's fine. I knew that's a catch-22 question.
I've got a
right? So,
question.
but I was actually just looking at demolition stuff yesterday. Ironically enough.
what'd you say, Denny?
I have a question. How many buildings downtown Bellbrook are truly historically significant, would you say?
Well, that depends on what your definition of historically significant is. So according to the Village Review Board, I believe it's anything built prior to 1950. So if you're going based off of that, there are a lot of buildings that are of historic significance. Sometimes it's who lived in that house that makes it more historic, or what that building was, for instance. What part did that building play in the history of Bellbrook?
Well, I get that. Yeah, I get that. But my personal opinion of the buildings in downtown Bellbrook, most of them look like crap, I think.
And one of the things that is still on the to-do list is actually creating historic, what do you call that?
Inventory?
Yes, that's the
Yeah.
a historic inventory that would take these things, because I don't know where they came up with 1950 as the date that anything prior to that is historic.
I believe it's 1950, but I could be mistaken. It's either
I don't know,
1940 or 1950.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So it really
Or-
should be probably prior to 1920, in all honesty. But so I did get in contact. I did start on that at the beginning of the year, and got in contact with the museum, and they had provided me with a sort of list of properties and information. So that's potentially where we can start with that. But sometimes it's really just which buildings still have historic character and which buildings don't.
There are some residents who have done a lot of historic research already on the downtown, and we can put you in contact with some of those people who have got a lot already done.
So just for clarification, this Article 14 states 1945.
oh,
Okay.
does it?
Yeah,
It's
I knew it.
Section 14.10.
I knew it was either somewhere around there.
Yeah, it was an even split, 1940 and 1950.
And I have no idea how that was chosen as the date that makes it.
I think that's something that should actually be looked into, because that seems like an arbitrary.
Mhm.
That seems
Sort
like a
of.
random number to me. Yeah.
Yeah,
If I don't know, if I had my way, I would, there's some nice buildings downtown Bellbrook. Churches are nice. The churches are nice. The museum, of course. I don't know, maybe the building next to the city building, that brick building is nice, but I'll tell you, most of the wooden structures they're just plain ugly, I think.
And that's sort of something we want to work with too, is to make sure that when we do construct new buildings, that they are in a character that would resemble what we want for downtown. That it's not just, your typical shopping mall kind of establishment. So strip mall.
Right. And some of Article 4, and I get that. I completely gotcha and agree with you there. But a lot of the Article 14 language refers to, adjoining buildings. So if the adjoining
Yeah.
building isn't historical looking, then that new construction or that renovation may not be, right? So do we have a baseline of what a historical or what a downtown Brookbrook historical building should look like with materials and stuff like that?
Well, that was sort of provided by Brady. There is an example in there of materials. So
Yep.
you have that example. As far as the adjoining buildings, we do want that zero gap just because that's how downtowns were. But as far as, trying to have all the buildings at once be aesthetically pleasing, that's not something that comes immediately. That's something that comes, down the line. So.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Create new historic buildings, but to create buildings that are in context with the rest of the.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other discussion on Article 14?
I have just one, I don't know, question maybe, I guess. In the 14.09, I think it's page 10. It just, I mean, the board already exists, so I don't know that this even matters, but it says the board shall consist of 5 members. And then if you go down to the third paragraph after that, it says the term shall be 3 years. However, the first member is appointed shall serve respective terms. But it says 2 for 1, 2 for 2, and 2 for 3. That's 6 members.
Oh, yeah.
There aren't
Yeah.
6. I mean, like I said, it already exists, so I don't know that that matters because that's talking about the very first time it's created. So I don't know that that even is relevant.
Yeah, that
but-
definitely needs looked at.
Yeah. And then I guess my only other question, and it's just because until I joined here, I didn't know much about the Downtown Review Board at all. Is there an issue finding like a resident of the district? Because I only ask because if you're limited to 2 terms and they're only 3-year terms, every 6 years, you got to find a new resident of the district who wants to be on it. I just am curious, is that ever an issue? And if so, should there be some kind of loophole for not being able to find somebody to fill that particular position?
Well, it says.
Yeah,
here,
that's
District.
that's a good point.
1409 said they need not live in the district.
No, but
Um,
at the very top, it says 1 member shall be a
Shall be a
resident
resident.
of said.
One
District.
member shall be of said district. Yeah.
Yeah. So like,
So-
I'm just curious if every 6 years, if you're going to have an issue finding that one. So should there be something like, should there be an
If
exemption to the 2-term limit?
Yeah,
you can't find somebody?
if that person cannot be found,
Yeah.
a
Just
term
for that,
be
because that, I mean, I
removed.
think the other ones, I don't think you'll like a member who
Well,
operates a business. I don't know that you'll have an issue
actually-
with that, but
Yeah, well, actually, we kind of just had that. So prior to this past year, I don't know how long it had been going on, but there was not actually, that we didn't have a member who actually owned a downtown business. We had somebody who owns a business and we have a resident, but we did, so at one point they couldn't find someone, so they just found someone that was as close as possible, I guess. I'm not quite sure. I wasn't here.
I think that needs to be revisited. Yeah.
Yeah, so then
Yeah.
when we did have another opening, because we didn't have a downtown business owner, that was specifically the member we were looking for. We found one. So, but yeah, you're right. I mean, it could be possible that nobody steps up and wants that position.
or the ones who do have already done 2 terms and then they're
Yeah,
limited. I don't know. Those, like I said, those first 2 positions where it's 1 member and they're, very specific, 1 member resident of said district, 1 member shall operate a business of said district. Those are very specific. 3 members who are residents of the city. That's not, I believe you'll be able to find that
yeah,
with the
Yeah.
2-term limit, but
And I guess another way to look at this, if you have somebody that actually does business downtown, lives downtown, that actually could be a conflict of interest.
yeah.
I suppose.
Yeah, it wouldn't necessarily have to be two different people, I guess, if, one person could represent the two groups. We don't have that at the present time, but
Any
Yeah,
other
I don't-
comments?
That I would just, I guess, just revisit that part. I mean, 'cause
Okay.
Oh, definitely.
just
We
should be
definitely got
some-
to, yeah.
some loophole, some way if you can't find, what's the sub, I guess, if you can't find somebody to fit one of those two categories, there's got to be, you got to fill it with somebody. I mean, so.
Yeah, definitely.
makes sense.
There needs to be some sort of clause in there or something.
Mhm.
That was all I had though, was just those two things in that one section.
That's all really good.
Any other discussion on Article 14? I'll take that as a no. Do we need a vote or a motion on this, or?
No, because now we have
Yeah,
some
we-
more things we need to incorporate and we'll bring it back for the next meeting.
Okay.
You'll just keep having to look at it until we
You're
get
gonna
it.
get tired. You're gonna get tired of seeing it and hearing about it.
Hey, just out of curiosity, is there a way to just the next time just put like this time there was a lot of new stuff, but is there a way to just put the changes in red next time? Because
Yeah, we can do that.
I've reviewed the
Just
majority
highlight them
of
for
it.
you.
Brady added a ton this time, so there was a lot to kind of go through this time. So I mean, but if we're only changing a few small paragraphs or something, just to
Yeah.
simplify that.
We can definitely, we'll highlight those for you and make it easier.
Perfect.
Yeah, thanks. So with that, we'll move on to new business. And first up is the recreational vehicles added to zoning code.
So what we're wanting to do is, so I wanted to really just bring it in front of you guys and get your opinion. So we have a issue in downtown as well as the rest of the city with commercial and recreational vehicles. So our current zoning code isn't clear about recreational vehicles or commercial vehicles for that matter in downtown and how they should be managed or dealt with if they become a problem or a nuisance. So with the language that we submitted to you, we kind of wanted to get your opinion on which districts that you thought these vehicles should be in and permitted in. And which that they shouldn't.
So if we just take RVs first. Any discussion on that? In terms of what we have in front of us?
So RVs are classified as trailers, or they can be, your typical recreational vehicle, as that people drive around in on camping trips in. So typically, those are allowed in the driveway as long as they do not exceed 25 feet. They can go in the backyard if they're on a cement pad or compacted gravel. But you're only allowed to have two at any point in time. If you have two, the second one has to go in the back and not extend to the front of the house. As far as the business districts or downtown, there's nothing, it doesn't say anything about RVs at all.
So in the description, the current definition of recreational vehicle, there are unattached truck caps and trailers of any kind.
Yeah.
How is a trailer an RV vehicle? An RV?
That's just how the definition is currently set up. So if you have like a trailer, a utility trailer, or something that you haul behind your I guess, truck that's considered an RV for whatever reason. But
It's also listed as a commercial vehicle.
Yes, in that commercial trailer itself. So it's the definition of trailer is kind of this actually got me at the beginning of this year because I approved what I thought was a construction trailer that I thought was a private trailer, and it ended up being a actual tractor trailer that was on the street for a while, and I had to deal with that and people complaining. So there is a difference there in the
I
type
guess-
of trailer. So
Yeah, well, whether it's commercial or considered an RV have to do with whether it's just a resident versus
Yeah.
a business would be
Yeah,
the only
so-
difference on the trailer itself.
yeah. So well, additionally,
Isn't it defined by the tag?
yeah, definitely. It's probably. I mean, it probably is actually. It probably is also about how much they weigh.
Yeah, my only concern there is with the where was it? You know, the staff recommendation has central business district or neighborhood business district as prohibiting those types of RV, the current definition of RV. So my concern there would be the unattached truck caps or trailers. If a business owner utilizes a trailer, how do we, or takes his truck cap off for a while, how do we deal with that?
Yeah. So really with zoning, with that kind of thing, you really want those to be in your industrial district. And with that being said, we don't have an industrial district. So we have our B4 district and our central business district. We have the planned business district, which is on the opposite side of town. So I think that it should be permitted in that other side of town. However, I think that it's with the limited space in downtown itself. So in the central business district, I think that it can be a little bit complicated in storing those items. We've had complaints of even just having, tow trucks parked on West Franklin, for instance, this year. So it's really about how we want to move forward with it. It is inevitably up to you guys. So I do agree that a business owner should have the right, if they want to store it on their property, to store it on their property. But it's really about where we want those properties to be in the city. Do we want them in downtown, or do we want them in the planned business district? If that makes sense.
It does make sense. I don't think you want anything on, the main drag through Bellbrook, Franklin Street.
Well, that's not on their property though.
Well, they can store it.
It's out front.
They wouldn't be able to store something like that out front, would they?
If there's legal parking on the street, but no, they can't store a trailer on the street or an RV. No,
Yeah,
but they
'cause
can.
It's parking, but it's not their property.
They can park behind their properties.
Yeah, but
And
how
that's
long-
clearly-
How long could I park my semi-truck trailer on Franklin Street? Illegal? I wonder, I don't know.
Actually, I don't know the answer to that question right offhand, but I know that you're not allowed to. So you're allowed to for deliveries, and that's it essentially. Unless you get a conditional use permit or you're provided a permit, which we did earlier this year, for example.
That was for someone doing some construction.
Yeah, it's for a
We
temporary.
allowed them, yeah, what, we give them 2 weeks, they could have
Yeah.
it or something?
It was 3 weeks, but
3 weeks.
that was the example. It was a temporary use technically, where the definition of construction trailer wasn't clear from what I was expecting versus what they were expecting, and they put a semi trailer, and I was expecting a trailer that you tow behind a truck, like a truck trailer, like a regular trailer, I guess.
Yeah, that was my only concern, is in that language of the definition, it's the unattached truck stops and trailers of any kind. Little tangent, I would also suggest to clear up any definition that we look at federal definitions of vehicle weights and class. Like I have it here in front of me. I have a website, it's Alternative Fuels something. But it's gross vehicle weight rating, right? And then it gives a weight in pounds, and it gives you that class 1, class 2, class 3,
Yeah.
that type of stuff.
Yeah, I know that that's typically how they license them. So the more that you, and it's the same way with the truck. So the more that the truck is capable to tow, the different that it's licensed. So
Right. Any other questions on this RV?
So do we have to make some kind of decision tonight?
no, but what I was really wanting to get is if we could come to a consensus, if we wanted to have them in downtown or where exactly we would prefer.
Could you add for the downtown by permit only?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Maybe have to go before the village review board.
Yeah, just so you can cover any unique situations that do arise.
Yeah, that sounds good.
And we're still just talking about the RVs, right?
RVs and commercial trailers, I guess.
Well, I have I don't know if it's an issue or as much as like a question, I guess. On the commercial semi trailers, I only know this because when I moved in here, all my stuff was in the back of a semi trailer, which got dropped off out in front of my house and was there for 3 days before I could get the darn thing unloaded by myself.
Oh,
So-
well, we typically allow that sort of, if you have that, you're allowed to have that for, I think a week or two. That's typically allowed.
But shouldn't that be listed at least as an exception? Because according to this, if I'm reading this 18.22, it's saying no section of a commercial tractor, commercial trailer, semi-trailer, anything shall be parked in a residential district except for unloading and unloading. And that says not to exceed 24 hours.
Mm.
And I mean, that semi-trailer I had was 24 feet long. You couldn't have, 5 guys would have barely unloaded that thing in 24 hours.
Yeah. So here's the
Usually-
problem.
Yeah, the 24 hours is like when somebody's got their like camper trailer
Yeah.
and they pull it out front to load it up and get ready to
Sure.
go on vacation.
So I'll have to find the section of code, but I know that there is a section of code that specifies that you have, I believe, like at least a week or so for that sort of thing. It's just where it is specifically, and if we included it.
Well, should we at least note that in this then?
Yeah,
Because
we definitely
this,
should.
This is saying current code language. So if there's an exception to this, like,
Yeah.
unless accepted by section, blah, 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 that's fine.
Yeah.
I just, reading this makes me think that I did something wrong. But like I said, I just know from unload, if you're moving or something like
Yeah,
that.
I mean,
a week
even
is,
U-Hauls- U-Hauls can be,
oh, they can be huge too.
the U-Haul that we got to move into our place was enormous. So I don't know,
Yeah.
it's like 26 feet or whatever.
Well, but those, at least the advantage with those is you can move them if you need to.
Yeah.
Like, this was a semi trailer without a cab on the front of it.
Yeah, and sometimes people have
Stuff
those
there for-
those trash cans that are dropped off for.
Oh, yeah,
construction
the
or-
dumpster.
Yeah, the big dumpsters.
Mhm.
Okay, no, that was my only thing. It just, it didn't appear to have an exception for that kind of situation. So,
How many multifamily residential districts do we have? And
How
are
many
we talking, the downtown section, correct?
How many districts do we have, or how many like separate buildings?
How many R3 districts are there in, well, how many R3 buildings are there in downtown?
I-
area.
Don't know right offhand.
Okay, districts.
I know that there really only is the one multifamily district. So let's see.
Is it down behind the post office or over?
There's down by the post office.
Mhm.
There are a couple of like duplexes, I think, but
R2?
yeah.
Yeah, what I'm getting at here is a, commercial driver that lives in an apartment.
Oh yeah.
Would that be another by permit only?
I don't know that a commercial driver, even in a normal circumstance where they park that vehicle in a normal circumstance, like if you live in an apartment, how that works. So that is something that I think I need to research in all honesty. So I don't know that there really is space at some of these places for it, but it definitely needs research because some of these places might not even allow that type of thing, so it may not even come up.
Yeah, and I think I only asked that question because the definitions are
Vague.
I would say vague.
Yeah.
Right? If the definitions are defined by federal standards or how they're tagged, then maybe this isn't an issue. But
Yeah. So what'll happen is, I think what really needs to happen. So we brought you the current code and the way it stands currently. We'll just go back in and kind of revisit it and kind of modify the definitions and the language and bring it back into to you guys and see how you think it fits in the districts with the updated language that we provide, and see if you think that is a good fit.
sounds good to me.
That's good. Yeah. I mean, we're just scratching the surface here, so it's
Yeah.
on our radar now.
I do have one more comment, and I promise I'll be quiet. 18.26 recreational vehicles, section 2, paragraph F says RVs must be parked on a hard surface driveway or compacted gravel. Then that's for the RV in length of 25 feet or more, I think. Yeah, but not more than 25 feet, but not more than 40, and a second RV of up to 25 feet. It looks like the first RV doesn't have the option to park on compacted gravel. Am I missing something here?
The first RV is allowed to be parked in the driveway. I'm pretty sure that's the assumption.
But there's no option to park it on compacted gravel. That's what I'm getting at.
Oh, well, that's because I'm pretty sure your driveway is not supposed to be compacted gravel. But
No,
yeah,
I mean by not putting it specifically in there that your first RV can be parked on compacted gravel.
oh yeah. Well, I think that needs, in all honesty, I have had to reread that a couple of times when dealing with violations against these. So I think that really just needs rewritten to be more understandable anyway. So
Okay. Yeah, I guess bring it back with
Yeah.
everything else.
yeah, it honestly just needs it. So
Any other discussion on recreational or commercial vehicles in the zoning codes? All right. Any open discussion?
Wait, didn't we have another thing?
We have the fee comparison.
Yes,
Oh, I
the
don't see
fee
that
ca-
on my
Ah.
list.
I just sent it out this afternoon.
It's not, you don't have to
Oh, yeah,
make
yeah,
it.
You don't have to do anything today. We just wanted to
No.
get that to you guys so that you had it and we can maybe talk about it next time.
Well, yeah, but I did look at that. You just sent it out. It looked like we're the chief city to do business in. But I would go with the staff, recommendations on that.
I agree as well. I did look through it, and we do seem to be way under on several things. I mean, but we can table it until next time, but I have no issue with any of the suggested fees that I saw on there.
Yeah, so Pamela, would we have any issues with putting that on the agenda for this one, or should we wait and put it
Oh,
on the
we
agenda
can-
for the next
We
one?
can add it. I mean, if we talk about it, that's,
Yeah, I'm talking add it and make a motion on it.
do y'all feel comfortable doing that tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I read it. Has everybody else looked at it?
You've seen it before as well. The
Yeah.
only difference is the addition of, I think, one or two more cities from the last time. I can't remember.
Yeah, I just went through it myself as well.
I think because it was a late ad, maybe we aren't thinking that we should take any action on it tonight, but I don't know, do we like the recommendations? Let's go ahead and clean it up if you want.
If you're all ready to do that, then we would just need somebody to make the motion that we're adding that to the agenda and that you'd like to accept the staff recommendations.
Yes, I'd like to make that motion.
You want to do that? Okay.
I'll second.
Was that Tim?
Yes.
All right, we ready to vote?
Yes.
Do you need a consensus to add it, or are we good with that one?
I was gonna put it together as one.
Okay.
Does anybody have a problem with that? Nope. Okay, see, there's. All right.
Did we lose Brady?
No, he's there.
Oh, he's not on my camera feed. Never mind.
Oh, do you run out of room on yours? He's there. Okay, so Mr. Bennett made a motion to add the fee schedule to tonight's agenda, and this was seconded by Mr. Tuttle. And how did I say that? Oh, to add it to the agenda and to, I said that, accept
Accept
the staff recommendation. Thank you.
That was my motion. Now, we should talk about it though.
What's
I
that?
mean, yeah, were we gonna vote?
Yes.
I mean, was everybody cool with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm happy as clam.
Guess you'll find out when we vote.
Yeah.
I guess so.
Okay.
All right.
Mr. Bennett made a motion to add the fee schedule to tonight's agenda and to accept the staff recommendations. And this was seconded by Mr. Tuttle. Mr. Bennett,
Yes,
Mr. Tuttle,
Yes.
Mr. Stengel,
Yes,
Mr. Harding,
Yes.
Chairman Thompson.
Yes.
Oh, look at that.
it's very good.
Right. So that
Great.
passed.
Yep, that passed. Any other open discussion?
Apparently from my dogs.
Your dogs have some.
yeah.
It's important.
I'd make a motion to adjourn then.
Well, hold on. I do actually have something if you guys are all done.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, So tentatively, your next meeting would be on January the 21st, if we're still gonna go with the third Thursday. Does that
Yeah.
work for everyone?
Yep.
Okay. And for that one, I'm going to have our updated goals of the, I'll have what got completed in 2020 for code updates, and then the list of updates that haven't happened yet. And we can prioritize what we have on there. And of course, we keep adding more. So Jessica and I just came up with another one earlier today that needs to be added. So you guys are going to be busy in 2021. So just let you know that'll be part of next meeting to start off the new year.
Sounds good. 2020 in the butt on its way out.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion for adjournment.
I'll second it.
Mr. Bennett made a motion to adjourn the planning board meeting of December 17th, and this was seconded by Mr. Thompson. All in favor?
Aye.
Hi,
All right.
All right, thank you all very much.
everyone.
Have
Have a good
happy
Christmas.
holidays.
Happy
You
Merry
too.
Christmas,
Stay-
yes.
Stay safe
Good
and
holiday.
healthy.
Bye-bye now.